Okay, welcome everybody. Hopefully you should be able to see the screen now and the syllabus. If not, let me know. And again, feel free to put whatever in the chat box. I always have one eye on the one screen with the syllabus and one eye on the chat box that isn't recorded. And feel free to do that, or feel free to ask a question, but that will be recorded. All right. So anyway, this is the orientation webinar for the elementary statistics class. My name is Larry Green, and I have been a little scary teaching forever almost. I've actually been teaching that no one has been teaching at this college as long as I have full time for full-time teachers. So I've been here this is my 29th year of teaching. And I've been teaching statistics for pretty much all of it. And I've been teaching online statistics for about half of it because at the beginning, 25 years ago, no one was teaching online anything. So I was one of the first online statistics accepted instructors in the state, actually. So I've been doing this forever and I'm here to help. And the good news is because I've been doing it forever, I have been able to create materials and hear feedback and then improve them and hear more feedback and then improve them more for many, many years. So as we go, it gets better and better. It doesn't make it easy, but at least it's a little cleaner. And literally over 1 million people use my stuff. So it's used all over the world because it's all open and online and all that kind of stuff. So this webinar, this is the orientation webinar. It's going to be very different than all the rest of the webinars in this course because this webinar, I'm not going to explain any statistics for you. The purpose of this webinar is to explain what this class is going to be, how it's going to be constructed, what the expectations are for you to do work, and suggestions on how to succeed for you all, talking about how we can communicate, and the syllabus. I spent a lot of time in the syllabus to talk about kind of the rules and what you're going to be doing and that kind of stuff. What I'm not going to do is teach statistics today. I do want to let you know that tomorrow at 6 o'clock, we have another webinar. And actually, this is the only week of the entire course where there's two webinars. And that's because today's webinar is the orientation webinar. So I'm not teaching anything. Tomorrow is a teaching day. So tomorrow we'll do chapters 1 and 2. So that's just to let you know. And and what I'm going to do is webinars will be Mondays or Tuesdays, except this week it's Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. I often have lunchtime, but it turns out that I'm teaching during that time, so I couldn't do it. So hopefully Monday or Tuesday works. If one of them works, then you can make that one and then watch the other one on YouTube. If they both work, I recommend watching them both. If neither work, you're still allowed to watch them both on YouTube, but you need to watch them. Okay, and I want to remind you, if you have any questions, one of the main points of this webinar and all the webinars is to be able to have a conversation so you can ask questions and I'll answer immediately. Because I do have a lot of videos that are just online you can look at, but you watch those online and you have a question and I'm not there because it's just a video. So this is different than just a video. This is a webinar. So hopefully you understand that. And that's kind of a main reason why I have this type of webinar is so that we can have conversation. So feel free to ask any questions as we go through. Any questions so far? Okay, if there aren't questions, please ask questions as they come. But let me talk about the syllabus. So we're looking at the syllabus right now. And let me go through what this course is. So first thing, if you didn't think you were registering for elementary statistics, then you probably want to log off because that's what this class is. This is the elementary statistics class. It is taught at every community college in the whole state. It's taught at every UC and every Cal State. It's taught everywhere. And one of the things is I communicate a lot with my former students and other people at different places, and I do everything I can to make sure that this transfers. And it's been many, many years since a student said, this didn't transfer to my university. Okay. And nowadays, like if you want it to be a graduate level class, that's different. But for the elementary statistics class, this is a transferable class. It will count as the statistics class at your college. Just let you know that. So this is one thing to note. This truly is an online class. So I know some of you are in Tahoe, which is wonderful, but you don't have to be. And in fact, you never, ever, ever have to go to Tahoe to succeed in this class. But I do recommend, especially in the wintertime, we have some of the best skiing in the world. Come to Tahoe, not to come to class, but to go skiing because it's just amazing here. I know this is going to sound a little weird, but that's how I got to work this morning. Is I cross country skied from my house to work. I have the best commute of anyone I've ever met. So we're in Tahoe, but you don't have to be in Tahoe. So that's just a note. What you have to have is internet access. That's an absolute. And obviously you have to have access to a computer. Okay, those are the two things that you need to have so that you can succeed in this online class. Okay, this is a 5 unit class. And what that means, first thing is it's a 5 quarter unit class. So if you are a student um, at a university or at a college that isn't Tahoe, then you might be at a semester class. So just to note a couple things. One is that quarter classes are 12-week classes, period. They end after 12 weeks. So this will end at the end of March, and then it's over. But we still have to cover the same material that semester classes cover, and they do it in 18 weeks. So it's more hours per week, but then you're done faster if you happen to be at a semester college. Just figured I should let you know that. Expect that there is going to be a lot of work to do. In fact, something called the Carnegie unit system says that for every unit, you're supposed to multiply it by 3. Okay. And that should be the total number of hours spent in the class. So this is supposed to be like a 15-hour a week class. Okay. So every week. So for some of you, that's what it's going to take. So if you only have an hour for this class a week, that's not going to work. You need to make sure that you have the time. And that's a biggie. Okay. Again, my name is Larry Green, and I have been teaching for a long career already, and I love it. I'm not, I'm not retiring yet. I still got probably about 5 or 6 more years, something like that. And I'll keep teaching stats. I've been teaching stats since forever, and I'm actually the chair of like these nationwide stats things. So I've done a lot of stuff with stats, and I use stats a lot too. So I use it, and not just for teaching, but I use it to make money. Anyone guess on how I make money sometimes using stats? And I don't mean, getting my salary. That's different. Any guess? And put it in the chat box. And I've had students learn from this class and do the same thing. Yep, stock market. Yeah, stock market. And I definitely use statistics in stock market, and I've done very well. Okay, I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a billionaire, but I made good money. Okay. Um, so just let you know, stats is important. I've also done a lot of helping others with stats, and that could sometimes it is like kind of volunteer type organizations. Sometimes it's businesses or whatever. Sometimes it's environmental stuff, and my heart's in it. So I'm a big believer in it because if you truly understand stats, then you realize that it's helpful. And hopefully by the end of this course, you'll see all of that. So I have a bunch of ways of you getting a hold of me. One, which is probably most of you won't use this, but I do have an office phone. Um, and you can call me. I tend to, I'm in my office several hours a day, but not all the time. On the other hand, I'm at my email a lot more. And what I do is I tend to use my private email. You can use my college email too, but I use my email, which is basically I just use my name, drlarrygreen at gmail.com. And it says responses will happen within 24 hours. Often it's within an hour because I'm quick. So, obviously, if I'm teaching a face-to-face class for 2.5 hours, I won't get back to you until I'm done teaching. And the other thing I want to let you know, and this is important, and that is I am an early to bed, early to rise person. So if you send me an email at 9:30 p.m., I'll respond probably around 5 in the morning because I'll be asleep. So just let you know that I go to sleep early. So don't ever expect me to ever respond, you know, like past 9 p.m. because I'm usually asleep. So that's just a note. But if you email me early in the morning, I'll probably get back to you right away. So that's just me. We all have lives. I'm a human being, so we do our thing. So I want to let you know that I do check my email a lot, but I sleep. I'm human, so I sleep. Usually, 9 to 4:30 or something like that. All depends on the day. Some days it's 9:30 to 5 or something, but whatever it is. So send me an email, I'll get back to you, and that will work. You can also send me if you see on the inbox, if you click on the inbox, you can send me an email that way too. And it still gets sent to my email. Basically, that's what it does. If you message me through Canvas, then the same thing happens. Okay. What I recommend, see this Canvas webpage, that's what we're on now. One thing I recommend doing is once you open up the Canvas webpage, save it on your browser. Save it on your browser because one thing is that the direct link to the Canvas webpage is more reliable than going through the Lake Tahoe Community College webpage because the direct link, I believe, goes through Amazon, which almost never goes down. I think like maybe twice in 10 years was it down for even an hour. So it just lets you know that it's pretty solid, especially if you save it as a bookmark on your browser. Okay, and then you can always get to it. Okay, obviously, if you have no internet, then you can't get to anything, so it won't matter. And I know we got a few people in Tahoe, and if you're one of those Tahoe people, that could happen. Although this week, we're not really supposed to get much snow. Maybe a little tomorrow, but not much. And then it's supposed to be kind of a light year so far. Okay, and again, that would be the one reason I wouldn't respond within 24 hours is if if I have no internet and electricity for a couple days. And once in a while that happens in Tahoe. So those who live in Tahoe know what I'm talking about. We get big storms. Okay, so um, this live lecture and office hour login information, if you click on that, that just sends you to the link that I'm on now, the Zoom link, and that Zoom link doesn't change. So that's just a note that's that Zoom link. Also, I send announcements every week to remind you of the webinar, and I make sure the Zoom link is on that. So the Zoom link is easy to find. Then there's archive webinars. You'll notice there's no link here. Any guess on why? Maybe you can put it in the chat box. Why is there no link it's the only one in this whole list of 10 that doesn't have a link? Archive webinars. Yes, there's a reason. And it's obvious once I tell you, or if you guessed it right. Don't see y'all jumping in. Maybe I should tell you because we don't have any archive webinars. Yeah, this is our first webinar. How could I have a link when there hasn't been a webinar yet? So what I'm going to do is at the end of this webinar, um, we're recording now, and then it takes a bit for that recording to get sent to my computer. And then I pop it on YouTube, and that takes usually half an hour or so for it to get put on YouTube, sometimes 10 minutes. It depends on how fast YouTube is that time. And then I'll have a link to the YouTube channel for our webinars. And so by tomorrow and probably tonight, this archive webinar will have a link and that will send you to all the webinars for the quarter. Okay, but we don't have any yet, so there's nothing to link to. Is that clear? Okay, I also have created full-length YouTube lectures. And you'll notice that there are 13 of them. Any guess on why there's 13? Why are there 13 archived YouTube lectures, full-length YouTube lectures? Not archived, these are full-length recorded lectures. Yes? I don't see guessing, so maybe I'll tell you. Because there's 13 chapters in the book. So what I did is I created a full-length video for each of the chapters. These are different than the webinars by two things. One is they're much more kind of refined and fixed up. So there shouldn't be any errors in them at all because if there's an error, I fix it. Whereas on the webinars, they're as we go, so it's very different. So these are YouTube. But the other thing is there's nothing that is relevant to today's news because I made these, a couple years ago and sometimes more than a couple years ago. And I didn't know what was going to happen today. Whereas when I go through the weekly webinars, what I try and do is I relate whatever we're going to be talking about to whatever's going on. And really my favorite thing about statistics is that it can be used for just about anything. So whatever happens in the news, I can find something quickly and I can use it and we can do an example of that. So that's one of the things I really love about statistics is it is so useful, is that I can get whatever we're doing that week, I can find an example that is current. Okay. So, but these guys, of course, these are not current because these are the polished versions they did, a couple years ago. I also, just in case you want lectures from Eve classes, those were lectures I gave during COVID that was supposed to be a face-to-face class, so they're much longer. Just in case you want longer lectures, you can do that. I also have short introductory videos for each week. Those are just me saying hello. I have videos of worked out problems. You're going to use most of those when you do the homework problems. That's when you're going to be doing the videos of worked out problems. And I'll show you how that looks. Okay. I've made some interactive statistics stuff. And also, I haven't dealt with this one yet, but I have embedded AI into a separate textbook that's not the same one. Students haven't used it much. But if you want to use it, let me know and I'll put you on it. And then you can do things like ask the textbook questions. And the textbook itself will answer because it's AI. So, but you need to send me a message or an email and then I'll put your name on it. It has to be signed up like that. Any questions so far? Oh, something I haven't mentioned. The webinars, the typical webinars, I try to make around an hour and a half. The orientation usually around an hour. Okay, it depends on how many questions there are too. You haven't asked so many questions yet, but feel free to ask questions. So if you're wondering, how long this is going to go, and it might end around 7-ish. Okay, something like that. Okay. So the textbook, something that has been kind of my main goal, my mission for the last, many, many years is to make sure that you will never have to drop a class that none of my students will ever drop because they can't afford the book or the materials. So there is nothing to buy in this class. So the textbook is completely free. Okay. Not only is it free, but because I use what's called OER, There's no special copyright on the book. So I had the right to put whatever I wanted into the book. So I embedded stuff that I've done right into the book. And the book was not written by me, but a lot of it is by me, just not the original book. So let me show you what that looks like. If I click on Introductory Statistics book, okay. And by the way, if you want, you can also print it. You'll have to pay for the paper probably, but that's it. But most people, especially online students, they don't need a printed book here. You can read it online. So here is the textbook. And I can maybe I'll just kind of show you what it kind of looks like. So if I go to say, I don't know, descriptive statistics, because we'll be doing chapter 2 this week. So I figured I'll give you one of those. And then there's a bunch of sections. Okay. And just to let you know, this book was written by Barbara Alowski and Susan Dean. And it turns out Barbara and I know each other real well. And there's something called the CMC3, California Math Council Community Colleges. And I was actually president. It's a statewide thing. And she was the next president. So we're like co-presidents of the statewide math association for community colleges. And so I got to know her really well and, found out she wrote this book and it was great. Okay, so anyway, so this is the book. And if you go to, for example, how about measure the spread of the data? I'm just grabbing one. This gives you a section. And you'll see this is the book. And it's got the calculator embedded right into the book. And that's what I did, is I made the calculator. So if you throw some numbers in, 3, 5, 4, 6, 1, let's say it's a sample, and I click calculate, it'll give you the standard deviation. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. I also created games. Some people kind of like to have fun when they're learning, so this is a game. You have to decide what the standard deviation is based on this little picture that was randomized. And without doing any calculations, just kind of guess on it. And if you guessed 1, for example, that wasn't right. Oops. You have to guess again. So it's kind of a game, and then you can try again. So guess another one. So if we go next, then you can get another one. Okay, so I made some games. The other thing I did is this is an example of an exercise from the kind of the homework type, and it get put right into the book. So you can do a practice with this, where you can type in. Again, I'm not going to explain statistics today, but I'm going to show you that this is all there. And then scroll more. Here's a video that's embedded in the book. This is a video on using the LibreText calculator and exploring statistics. So that's what I've done is I put a whole lot of videos directly into the books that are relevant to what you're reading. Okay. And more of the book. Here's another calculator. More calculator. This class has a lot of calculator work to do, by the way. Okay, and by the way, see this little arrow here? This will get you to the next section. This will get next one. This one goes to the previous. So if I click there, that gives you the previous section. Any questions about the textbook? Any questions? Okay, let me go through a little more. So the course description, basically we're doing statistics. I'll let you read through that. And safety good learning outcomes, I'll let you read through that. Grading policy. Okay, so this is important. I want to make it easy to understand, so I just do the standard. So I do the 90, 80, 70, 60 scale. If you get 90 or above, you have an A. Right? If you get 80 to 89, you get a B. 70 to 79, you get a C. Hopefully you don't get below that. Any questions on that? Okay, so in terms of what the grade is based on, there's a bunch of things. Okay, one thing is assignments. You're going to have weekly online assignments, and those are online homework basically. And we'll go through that and you'll see what they look like in a little while. But I'll let you know that that's something that happens. That's 10% of your grade. There'll be discussion post assignments that are also 10% of the grade. Okay. You will have exams. This is very different than a regular class, by the way. I've been teaching a long time. I've been exploring, and I came up with this some years ago, a few years ago. And what I've done instead, I used to have a midterm and a final, and that stressed people out a lot. Honestly, it also got a lot of people to cheat because they were so stressed that they wanted to just cheat. So I don't have a midterm and a final anymore. Now what we have is just every other week there's an exam. Okay, and every exam is worth exactly the same percent of your grade. And if you add, and that's 10%. So by the way, we're a 12-week class, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there are 6 exams. So 60% of this course grade are the exams. Okay, but any individual exam is not a huge part of the course grade. It's only 10%. Okay, so that's probably different than you've done for other classes you've taken. But I found that that works pretty well for what we've got. Any questions so far? Okay, then there's also 2 projects, Project 1 and Project 2. Project 1 will be due February 9th, and that's also 10% of your grade. And Project 2 will do March 23rd, and that's also 10% of your grade. I'll explain the projects in a little bit. And then, by the way, in a couple of weeks, then I'll really explain them, or maybe next week, actually. Then I'll really explain Project 1 because then we'll have some information we'll learn. And then Project 2, I'll explain much later because we're not even close to ready for that. But I'm going to talk a little bit about it today. Any questions about the grading policy? I do want to let you know, and what I found is that no one listens to me, but I do want to say it anyway. There is no extra credit. There is no extra credit for this course. So don't just do nothing all quarter and then in the last week saying, can I just do extra credit and pass the class? It's like, no, no, you need to do work throughout the whole class. Don't expect to have extra credit to get better at the end of the class. You want to, every week, you want to do your best and don't let it fall or it'll be bad because you won't be able to do extra credit. So you need to be consistent in your work. Okay, so then the exam policies. So one of the things, I guess I should say this, and that is this entire class is online. You really never have to leave your bedroom if you have online access in your bedroom. But I recommend leaving if you can because it's, have some fun, go skiing or whatever you want to do. But the point is that the everything is online. Okay, so the exams are online. Okay, you'll be going online and you'll be working on the exams. The exams, they're 90-minute exams. So every exam is a 90-minute exam. So it is important that you plan on that. And at that 90-minute time, the exam gets closed on you. So make sure that you don't go too slow. Okay. If you have any disability that requires that you need more time, then I'll talk about that in a little bit. Then sometimes extensions can be made based on a disability. But otherwise, they're 90 minutes. Okay. And I do want to let you know a bunch of things. One is they really go over what we've already gone over. And in fact, a big part of the exam, probably about 80% of the exam, literally randomly grabs questions from the randomly grabbed problems that got put on the homework and gives them to you. So they won't be necessarily the same questions that you had on your homework assignment, because on the homework assignments, what the way it works is there might be, 20 problems, and then it gives you one of them. And then for exam, it randomly chooses one, and that's not going to be the same one that you got on your regular homework, but the same idea. Okay. Then there's also written where you type out answers that I grade. And I do want to let you know, and this is really important, during the webinars, I am going to be specifically stating the wording you have to use for answering or just explaining something about any statistics principle. And I will say you have to use this word. If you don't use that word, I take a lot of points off. I will let you know, and this is really important for you to know. I used to be an AI programmer. I understand AI really well, and I will know if you're using it. You are not, you're not allowed to use AI to do your exams, and it is not going to use the wording that I tell you have to use if you use AI. So don't even think about it because I will know. And I'm very harsh in my grading when I can tell. So do not use AI to do your exams. Don't even think about it. Got it? That's like a new thing. Okay. Um, one more, one more thing, and that is, or a few more things. One is the exams. They are official. I like to say they are officially due on Friday. That's not what it's going to say on Canvas though. They're officially due on Friday, but everybody is allowed a 2-day extension. So if you don't do it till Sunday, the computer will not take off points. Okay. But the idea is set your goal to be done by Friday. If something happens and you need more time, then you better know by Friday because you're supposed to have been working on this on Friday. And if you request an extension by Friday, then I'll give it to you, usually a couple days. If you don't, if you wait till after Friday to request an extension, no matter what it's for, I don't give it to you because it was supposed to be due on Friday. And you should have known on Friday that you needed the extension. So don't email me on Sunday, can I have an extension? Got it? Okay, so if you need an extension, make sure you ask for the extension on Friday. Could be Thursday, but by Friday. Any questions on that? Okay. And it's kind of like it's a yes no thing. I look at it and say, was it by Friday? And if it's yes, I say yes, you get an extension. Okay. If you email me on Saturday or Sunday or Monday or whatever, then I say no, you don't get extension. So it's very specific. Okay. And the hope is that you'll be able to get everything done on time. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. The other thing that you probably won't remember, and it's not that important, but the way it's graded by computer, the computer will automatically give you a 0 on the problems that I have to grade until I grade them, and then the points will be given to you. So don't stress out when you look at your grade and it says that you got 0 on the word problems. That just means that I haven't looked at it yet. Okay, and I don't take that long, but if you take the quiz on Friday, I usually grade on Monday, by the way. So it might be a few days before you see your grade. Okay, you'll see the grade with that gives you 0 on those word problems. Any questions on that? Okay, then there are the regular chapter assignments, I call them. I call them homework, but everything's homework because it's an online class. You can do everything at home. So let's call them chapter assignments. So chapter assignments, the chapter assignments are also due on Friday, but the Canvas will tell you have till Sunday. And the same rule goes. So if you send me an email saying I need an extension, and but that email gets sent by Friday, I give it to you. If that email gets sent on Saturday or Sunday, I don't give it to you. Okay. One of the things about assignments is that you have that, kind of a due date, but there's no time limit. So if it takes you 7 hours to do the chapter assignments, which would be crazy amount of time, hopefully it won't. But if it did, that's fine. Okay, other than you'll be tired. But it won't do anything as long as you finish by, when it says you have to finish. Any questions on that idea? Okay. And the other thing is that, and I'll show you how this works later, is that for the regular assignments, the chapter assignments, if you get a problem wrong, it allows you to redo it. Sometimes it allows you to redo it with a similar problem. That's not exactly the same problem, but the same learning objectives. So the idea is you should be able to get an A on every chapter assignment because you can keep trying. Okay. But don't wait till Sunday evening because then you won't have time. Because if it takes 6 hours and you start at 10 p.m. on Sunday, then you don't have enough time. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Then there are discussion assignments. You've been all quiet, so I'm going to have you put in the chat box. Type in yes if you have taken an online class before. Type in no if you have never taken an online class. Put in the chat box. Remember, I don't know who you are right now. Oh, look at that. Everyone said yes. Okay, so you've all taken an online class. And my guess, one of the things that I used to do actually, until the state changed things a little bit, is I was a statewide reviewer of online classes. And what I found is that pretty much every online class has discussion assignments. So my guess is that all of you who said yes also had to do discussion assignments. So this shouldn't be new to you. So there are going to be discussion assignments every week. And here's one thing that you need to really pay attention to. This is important. And that is that your initial post on the discussion assignment has to be done by Thursday. Canvas will tell you it's due Sunday. It's not. It's due Thursday. I will send you an announcement reminder saying that it's due. I'll send you an announcement reminder on Thursday in the morning. Okay, and I believe 8 a.m. I have it timed, saying make sure you get your discussion post in today, so that when that Thursday happens. So do not wait till Sunday to send your initial post, even if Canvas says that you have till Sunday. You don't. Okay, I'll take off points. Okay. Then the reply has to be done by Sunday. I recommend by Friday. The other thing is that if you do your initial post by Wednesday, okay, I will look at it, and if it doesn't deserve full credit, I will reply to it and let you know what needs to be changed, or no, this doesn't work at all. You need to do a different one. Okay, so that is I like to give like an incentive to get your work done a little early because that's a good life skill. Okay, bosses love it if their employees like get things done on time or even a little early. So I like to give you the incentive because it's a good life skill. So if you do it by Wednesday, then I'll take a look at it, and by Thursday, you'll see it. You'll see it usually on Thursday. I'll type in, hey, this needs to be fixed. That makes sense. It's Thursday morning usually. Okay, so that's an incentive to do it on Wednesday. Okay. Um, and I tend to grade these things pretty like within a day or two, even though it says within 5 days, but really it's usually on Sunday on Monday or Tuesday. What I often do, and this is just a note, is that I do hidden grading, I call it, of your initial post, usually on Saturday or Sunday. And you won't see that until the full grading happens. Um, but I do that. That way I can get the grading done quickly. So, you're not supposed to be changing things on Sunday of your initial post because that's something that other people are applying to. The other thing that I always do is I make sure that I give a post ahead of time, usually Saturday or Sunday of the week before, so that you get the idea of what's expected. That makes sense? And we'll see that today. I'll show you how that looks. So you get the idea of what's expected, and that way you can kind of see. So I strongly recommend before posting your initial post and also before your reply, take a look at mine, and that'll give you kind of what the expectations look like. Any questions on that idea? I'm here for you. I want you to do well. I can't force you to do work, but what I can do is I can help you. I can show you what's expected. I can be here for the office hours, we'll see in a little bit. And I can also answer any questions you have during the webinars or any other time too, which we'll see how to do that soon too. So I want you all to do well. I would love it. I would love to give A's to every student. I don't think I've ever done that in a large class, but it would be great because that would mean everyone did an awesome job. Um, but even if every student passes, then I'm really happy. And I've had that happen lots of times. But sometimes things happen. So I want to help you out. Any questions at all? Okay, the live webinars I've talked about a bit, but I want to talk about more. The live webinars are an absolute requirement. Okay, they're not required to attend live, but it's required to watch them. Okay, so you have to watch the webinar. And since it's the same amount of time, whether you watch it when it happens, like right now, we're doing our webinar, or if you watch it later on, it takes the same amount of time because it's the same length of the webinar. You might as well do it live if you can. If you can't, I understand. But if you can do it live, that's even better. Every week, there will be what's called a secret word quiz. I'll show you what those look like in a little while. And those have to be done by Sunday. And what you do, it has one question and it says, what was the secret word for the webinar? And you type it in and that's it. You watched it. Then you get your credit. If you do not do the secret word webinar by the Sunday after the webinar, then either you lose a 5% per missed webinar of your course grade, which is a disaster, by the way, or you can watch the webinar later, take very detailed notes, at least 5 pages of notes, okay, which is a lot of work, by the way, at least 5 pages of notes. Email me your notes, and then I'll give you the credit for watching the webinar. It's a lot easier to do the secret word quiz. I do recommend taking notes anyway during the webinars, but I'm very strict on the if you don't do the secret word quiz. Any questions at all? I'm watching the chat box in case you have them. I'm seeing it. No questions? Okay, you've been kind of quiet. Okay. Then there are projects. Okay, I mentioned already there were 2 projects, but now I'm going to mention a little bit more. And again, not everything about it. But the first thing about the projects is they are group projects. Okay, it is a disaster if you do not have a group to work with. And the requirement is officially a group of 2 or 3 people, but I recommend 3. So if you can go find 2 other people that you can work with, and again, online is fine. You don't have to like drive to the person's house or whatever, because it could be or maybe you can't because you live in Hawaii or something. But but you have to be able to, communicate with the person via online because this is an online class. But you're working together on the project. Okay, so I will let you know. When do you think let's see if you can tell me in the chat box. When do you think you should go start looking for partners for your group? Put in the chat box when you think it's a good time to start looking. Should all be typing it in. Okay. Okay. I see a few weeks before the project is announced. Of course, I announced the project today. That would mean that you were supposed to do it 2 weeks ago. That can't happen. Yeah. So the answer is today, tonight. So let me show you something. If you go to the discussion assignments, the discussion posts right there where it says discussions, you will see that this second pinned assignment discussion is Project One discussion forum. You click on that, you hit reply, and you say, I am looking for two partners to work on Project One. I like to get started early. Okay. By the way, if you don't like to get started early, then don't type that in. So whatever works for you is what you should do. And please let me know if you can join me. Okay. Then you hit reply. I'm not going to hit reply because I don't need partners. I'm your teacher, but you need partners. So that's my recommendation. Okay, do that. Or if you see someone else that did that, reply to them saying, let's be partners. And then they know. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't need it. But you need to do that. So that is clearly the easiest way of finding partners is just do that. And then there's two reasons I strongly recommend 3 people. One is the projects are a lot of work. If there's 2 of you, then how much of the project do you have to write if there's 2 people in your group? It's an easy math question. Hope you can all do it. If there's 2 people, how much do you have to write? Yeah, 50%. If there's 3 people in your group, how much do you have to write? If there's 3 people, yeah, 1/3 of it, 33 and a third percent. You have less work to do if you have 3 people. That's one reason. There's actually 2 reasons. Then the other reason is really important. And this happens sometimes. Sometimes students will drop the class. So if there's 2 of you in your group, but your partner drops the class, then you're screwed. If there's 3 in the group and one of the people drop the class, then you still have a partner. Do you see that? You could look for another partner, but at least you're not screwed because at least there's still 2 of you. Does that make sense? I don't want anyone to drop, but I can't keep you from dropping. I'm not allowed to do that. Okay, and then make sure you communicate. And again, today is not the day I'm going to talk about the details of what's expected on the project. And that is because we haven't had the statistics yet. So we're not ready for all of the details because you don't even understand what they are yet. I want to note one thing about timeline. Projects are officially due Sunday. I recommend having it done by Saturday or Friday. And If you email me your project draft by 8 a.m. on the Thursday before it's due, then I'll read it and give you feedback on how to improve it so that you can get a better grade. Makes a big difference in grades. I've noticed that. Those who email me, I give them feedback, they fix all the things that need to be fixed, and they typically get a much better grade than those who wait till the last minute and don't. So that's a big suggestion. Not today because you haven't even started your project, but you want to. So the idea is you want to, even though it may say it's due on that Sunday, I recommend earlier. And what I do, because it takes a while to read these projects, so I do it on a first come, first read basis. So if you send it to me on that Tuesday instead of the Thursday, then I will often get back to you a little faster because you're first, you see, or maybe the Monday or something like that. So there's no reason to wait till the last minute for this one. Any questions on the projects? Okay, then I want to talk a little bit about communication with me. And there's different things that you need to communicate with me about. And depending on what you need to communicate with me about, will change how you're going to communicate. If you have a question where it's not personal at all, it's about maybe something about the course, something about the content, the understanding, and it's not about the project, use the Q&A forum. And by the way, if you hit discussion, there's a few ways of finding it. If I click Q&A forum, then you hit reply and ask your question, and then I'll answer it. And I check it often. So that's one way of communicating and asking questions is if it's about something that's not about the project and it's not personal, then Q&A forum is a good way to go. So that might be something like, I was working on this homework problem, on this chapter assignment problem, and I really don't understand how to do it. Here it is. Can you help me? That's something that is not personal. It's everyone would get help by the conversation. So that would be a Q&A forum thing. Does that make sense? Okay. If it's something like, I've been really sick, can I have an extension? That's not Q&A form. That's email me. Do you see the difference? Okay. So it depends what you're doing. If it's something about the project, then that you do on the project one discussion forum, which I showed you. And you can ask questions about the project. And that's how you ask them. You don't want to put in the Q&A forum. You want to put on the project one discussion forum. And I will let you know it's not up there at the top yet, but in a month or so after project one is done, and you'll start thinking about project two, there will be a project two discussion forum, but we're not even close to there yet. Any questions at all on the communication with me? Okay. So the main thing with diversity and inclusion, we're all people, and make sure you treat everyone with respect, no matter what no matter what their race is, or their gender identity, or sexuality, or however old they are. Make sure you're treating everyone like human beings. Okay, be nice to each other. That's all I ask. Okay, that's the main thing. I'll let you read through it, but that's basically what this says. If you want to give me anonymous feedback, I have a link for that and I can read it. But honestly, I would never take off points if you gave me feedback for the course and just sent me an email or something. That's fine too. But either way. So if you want to give me feedback, if you have a suggestion for the class, then even if it's towards the end of the class, that'll help people for many years down the road because I'm going to be teaching this forever. I'm teaching it next quarter too. So I always teach this class. So just let you know that you're helping a lot of people by giving suggestions. Title IX information, I'll let you read through that. I have student hours. It used to be called office hours, but now they want me to call it student hours. So just let you know that this is an online class. So what I do is I make sure that I'm on Zoom during my hours. I'm also in my office during my hours. So I'm in my office on Zoom. Occasionally, I during this time we have and hopefully you're okay with this, but I believe in helping children. Most people are okay with that. And I run a tutoring program for children. And I'm not the tutor. I'm kind of in charge, but I'm not the one that tutors. But sometimes I run over there and just check in. So sometimes I'll be gone for, 2 minutes or something. So then you just got to be patient. And also sometimes if I'm not looking at my screen, you may not even see me, but say something so that I'll know you're there. Okay. If you want to come to my office physically, you can do that too. But I also have it on Zoom. And it's the same Zoom link. I use the same Zoom link for everything. So it's the same Zoom link. Any questions about my student hours? Okay, then there's the calculators. It turns out there are two calculators for this class. The first one is the main one you're going to be using for all the assignments, and that is the LibreText calculator. This I coded it. I'm a computer programmer, by the way, and I coded a full calculator and I opened it up for the world, and it's been used by literally like over 1 million people already. So it gets used a lot. And I want to let you know if you have any suggestions to improve it, let me know. And I'll do my best. And what I've done, you'll see there are 25 different calculators. And one of the nice things about these is they go in the order at which we do things in this class. So the very first thing we'll do are these first few things: the random number generator, one variable statistics for a frequency table. That's like the beginning. So this one variable stats, that's probably of the first three, the most important. And you just type in, separate by commas, 5, comma 6, comma 3, comma 7, comma 2. That might be, whoops, I lost commas. Let's try again. 5, comma 6, comma 4, comma 7, comma 2, for example. You have to choose whether it's sample or population. You calculate, and it just gives you all the statistics. Did that look pretty easy? I try to make it easy. Okay, I do my best. And if someone has a suggestion to make it easier, then I make that happen. And in fact, over winter break, someone had a suggestion before winter break, and I recoded one of my calculators, and so it's brand new. Of the 25, one of them is new because someone had a suggestion, and I listened to the suggestion and I changed it to make it a little easier to use. So if you have suggestions, let me know. And again, it's completely free. No, there's no charge for anything. So that's the good news. Any questions at all on on the calculator? There's also, if you click scientific calculator, this I didn't cut. This is Desmos actually. And this is just standard calculator, so you can do that. You could also click back to the calculator menu, and then it goes back. So you can do a different calculator. Any questions on the calculator? Okay, so now we've seen the calculator. There's actually another calculator that you'll use for the project. This is the Google Sheets calculator. One of the things that I've learned, and I'll probably mention it in a couple weeks, but is that if I don't require a spreadsheet to be used in my class, then some universities don't accept this class for transfer. So what I did is I coded up a spreadsheet calculator and I require it for the projects. And that way, and I get calls sometimes or emails from other universities. And one of the things they often ask is, do you require a spreadsheet for your class? I say yes. And they say, great, we'll accept it for transfer. And then the student who took my class doesn't have to retake stats. Because my guess is probably all of you be dropping this class right now if you found out this class doesn't count. So that's, to me, that is the number one thing that I do for this class, is to make sure that this counts for transfer. And one of the things, this is Google Sheets. It does help if you're logged into your Google account. And then what you're going to need to do, the very first thing you're going to have to do is you have to go to File. You're going to click Make a Copy. Give it a name and hit Make a Copy. I'm not going to do it because I don't want another copy of my one, but you'll need to do that so that you can use it. Otherwise, you can't use it. And then once you've made a copy, then you never have to do that again for the whole course. And if you're doing it for your project, then if you've ever used Google Sheets before, then you go to Share. And then you share it with the email address of whoever you're sharing it with after you've made your copy. And that way you can use it together. Does that make sense? For your project partners. Okay, so that's it. And again, I'm not going, today is not the day to explain any of these numbers. That we're going to do tomorrow. Okay, so oops, wrong one, that one. Okay, so if you happen to have a learning disability, then there are accommodations that will be made. I do want to mention that all of my regular videos are all fully captioned. And being on YouTube also captions it, but not perfect. But the other videos are fully captioned, and I make sure that I type everything perfectly. So all that's set up. And it should be pretty much accessible. But if you do need anything, let me know. And also, if you need like special accommodations, then this is a link to Student Accessibility Services to get your accommodations. And there's an email, there's also a phone number you can call. And that will happen. If you wait forever, then you don't get it until I find out about it, until you do it. So I would do it, you know, if you need accommodations, I would do it this week. Okay, there is tutoring, and the tutoring is free. That's the good news. And if you go to Cranium Cafe, you can get the tutoring online and meet with tutors. If you happen to live in Tahoe or come to Tahoe, we have tutors on campus also. And that's just a note, and that's all set up. And all that information it's in our library, and the information's all here. So I'll let you read through all this. If you have trouble with Canvas, there are links to get help with Canvas. And that's about it. Any questions? Any questions on this? I do want to mention, because this is often a problem, the use of AI generated content in any of your assignments, including projects, writing tasks, and discussion boards, is strictly prohibited in this class. Do not use AI to do your assignments. You could use AI to help learn, but not to do assignments. Okay, and I'm very good at knowing. Okay, please don't cheat. Any questions on the syllabus? Any questions? A great time to ask if you have questions. Okay, just want to let you know this week, when you click on the course for the first time, it sends you here, because I think the syllabus is the most important thing, you know, at the first few days at least. What's going to happen though is I'm going to change that this weekend, and it'll send you here. Not to week 3, sorry, but they'll send you here. And these are the modules, and that's week by week. In the modules, the first one is course information. This pretty much has all the stuff I just talked to you about. By the way, this Braulio thing, that's not there anymore, and you won't see it. But this is all the stuff I talked to you about, the syllabus, a bunch of resources. But then you go to the week you're in. So we're in week 1 right now. Is there a printable version of the syllabus? I mean, if you go to the syllabus and you right click and hit print, then it'll print for you. That's the easiest. Does that make sense? There's your printable version. So you could always print. Does that answer your question there? So that's the printable version. And it prints. Okay, great. Yeah. And that not just a syllabus, but anything, including the textbook, including whatever, The videos aren't, you can't really print a video, but I will show you there's some stuff you can print kind of with it. It's not that one yet. Okay, so let me go back to the modules. If you go to week 1, that's where we are now. What I do is the first few things. This is just a short video. I made this a long time ago, but things don't change much on what we're doing for the week. Right, next. This is the orientation webinar, and it gives you a link to it. Once it's recorded and posted on YouTube, then right here under you can watch the recorded webinar here, there'll be a link. Okay, and it'll actually be directly embedded, and you'll just be able to watch it that way if you need to. And if I hit next, that's the same thing, but it's the webinar for tomorrow. And right now there's nothing there because we haven't done anything. It just gives you a link to log in. But eventually you'll have it in there. Hit next again. These are your student learning outcomes for week 1. Let me go back to the module so you can kind of see where things are coming from, in case you want to look at it that way. These are the content. So what I have is I have a link to the chapter 1 and chapter 2, because that's what we're doing. If I click chapter 2, it sends you right to the chapter we're in. Okay. That way you don't have to leave as much if you want to do it that way. There's lots of ways of getting to places. And then remember I told you about the videos, so I made sure that for each week I put the appropriate video in the week. So instead of just having a playlist of all the videos for the whole course, this gives you the specific ones. And what I've also done, in case you want a printable version of the video, is I created they're kind of the videos are PowerPoint lectures basically of these recorded of the full length videos, and these are the PowerPoints in case you want to print it out and write notes as you watch it or something. You can do that. Okay, then you have the secret word quizzes. So there is the orientation secret word quiz. And let's see, you won't see this. I have to do student view. Sorry, let me go back to student view. Let me go I think the other one you don't have to be student view for. Let me go back. Looks different from my view versus your view. Yeah, this one allows me to preview. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like for you. It'll say, what was the secret word for the week 1 webinar? You type in the word and you hit submit. That's it. Okay, it takes 5 seconds. Okay, I mean, it takes an hour and a half to watch the video, or to watch to go to the webinar, but it's 5 seconds to do the secret word quiz. Don't forget to do it. Otherwise, you got to send me 5 pages of notes. Okay, which I do recommend writing notes anyway, but I'm very, if it's not 5 full pages, then I don't accept it. Okay, but if you do it by Sunday, then you don't have to do that. You don't ever email me notes if you got that done by Sunday. Let's go back to the modules. And the next is the first assignment. And this is the 2 truths, 1 untruth. Okay. And because someone's already done this one, I'm going to show you what it looks like, what I did. So the question on this one is you have to say 3 things about yourself, 1 that is not truthful and the other 2 are truthful. Okay, this is just to get to know each other. There's no math involved at all in this one. Okay. And so I give you an example. I didn't do a reply because I don't want to tell you which is truthful until maybe some of you guess. But here's my truths. I personally disconnected the communication system for the space shuttle while it was in orbit, causing it to stay in orbit an extra day. Number two, the US Navy used my PhD dissertation in statistics to help them track Russian submarines. And number three, it has been over a decade since I drove to Lake Tahoe Community College. Okay, two of those are true, one is not true. And the idea is you have to do the same thing, and you have to put two things that are true about yourself, one that's not true about yourself. And then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to reply to someone else's post and guess which is true. And then once someone has done that, you're going to have to respond saying, yep, you were right. Or nope, you weren't right. This is the one that's truthful. And then you're going to have to actually say how you're going to use statistics in your future. Okay, that's what this one's going to say. Because someone has already replied, I can't show you the full discussions because it has their name on it, and I'm not supposed to show names in a recorded video. But let me show you. If I go to discussions. Week 1 survey design. That's going to be more statistics instead of just fun. If I click on that one, this is more of what all the rest of the discussion posts are kind of somewhat going to look like. For this discussion, please first find an article online or course video that discusses a study that was done that uses one of the sampling techniques that we have discussed in the class. You will want to search online for a journal article, news article, or course video. One resource for the course video is here. Then post just the link to the article and instructions on where to find the pertinent information. Then find a link from another student's post that has not already been analyzed by one of your classmates and reply to that student's post by discussing the sampling technique that was done in the study. Comment on whether or not, on whether the technique produced a representative sample, identify any biases that may have occurred, and describe how the data collection could have been improved in order to avoid these biases. Please post the link by Thursday. A lot of people don't listen to that, and then I take off points. Just let you know that. Or earlier, so students have enough time to respond. And then I will always post an example. So here's my example. And that is with the first day of class, that's today, by the way, being January 6th, I decided on a post on an article about whether Americans are okay with Trump pardoning rioters who were charged with breaking into the US Capitol on January 6, 2021. You can find the article here. I just want to let you know, when you do post and you type and you copy and paste the article, just to be nice to your classmates, after you copy and paste the article, hit the space bar. And then it'll automatically link. If you don't hit the space bar, the link doesn't automatically get set. And it's a bit of a pain for them to use it. Okay, and then I say the survey conduction information can be found at the end of the article just before the comments. By the way, if you click on this, here's the article. Okay, this goes through the article. So that gives you the idea of the article, and then your classmate is going to reply. Here's what you're not allowed to do. Don't reply to your own, even though I reply to my own. But don't reply to your classmates, not to your own post. Got it? And then I did the full reply. Okay. I quoted in the article what was stated that was pertinent, and then I did the full analysis. And I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'll let you read through it. What I recommend is looking at my post and my reply to get the idea of what's expected. Any questions on that? Okay, and then make sure you do things on time. And if you have questions, you can ask. You can put in the Q&A form too. And ask. Any questions so far? We're almost done. Okay, and my goal was to be done by an hour and a half. We're actually at an hour and 17 minutes now. We have a little bit more. Okay. After that, you'll notice that there's chapter 1, sampling and tech data, and chapter 2, descriptive statistics. If I click on chapter 1, sampling and data, you won't see teacher preview. It's going to give you the homework questions to work on. And they're randomized. You're not going to get the same ones that your classmates get. But it's randomized, so it's not like, I'm being mean to you by giving you the hard ones or anything like that. It's total random. Even the numbers are random. There's so much randomness going on here. Okay. So this is something like here, identify the type of data that would be used to describe a response. Number of students enrolled at Skyline College. So let's say you said qualitative categorical and you submit question. Shoot, that was wrong. Okay. You got zero. I got 0 points on it. Does that mean that I'm screwed? What do you think? Yeah, it does not mean I'm screwed. Because you'll see right here, get a similar question. Basically, now it's going to give you a similar question. It's not the same question, it's randomized. And you're going to be redo the question. And now it says, same thing, identify the type of data that would be used to describe a response. But now it's number of tickets sold to a concert, which is different than the last question. And this one, if I, and don't just blindly guess. You want to really understand it, by the way. But I will tell you, this one happens to be quantitative discrete. If I click on that and hit submit question, I got it right. And even though I got it wrong the first time and right the second time, I got 100% on question number 1. So you can get 100%. Okay, but please make sure that you learn, because the exams you don't get to try twice. You only get one shot. So these are what's called formative assessments, which means they're all about learning. They're not about the points. So if you don't learn, then you won't do well on the assessment that is all about the points, which is called a summative assessment. And that's the exams. And the exams look a lot like the homework, by the way. And once the homework is due, you can't get more points for it, but you can go back and look at it and you can do more problems. You just don't get points, no credit. Any questions on this? And this one has 15 questions, by the way. I'm not going through them all. Any questions? Okay, so if we look and we go back to the modules, you'll notice for this week, that was the last thing. Notice for week 2, the last thing is week 2 exam. Every even week, there's an exam. We're in an odd week, by the way. This is week 1. It's an odd number. 1 is an odd number. So no exam this week. But next week, you'll have an exam. So that's pretty much everything there is about the course. And I just want to, really say that I'm here for you. I want you to do well. I can't help you unless you come to either student hours or you post in the Q&A forum or whatever and ask questions. Okay, and also get help from the tutors to get help. But I'm here for you and I want you to do well. That's my goal. Okay, make sure you do take notes. What's the last thing that I have to tell you? I haven't told you yet. You should all know. Secret word. The secret word. I'll type it in the chat box and I'll say it also. The secret word is notes. Because when you're watching these webinars, you should be taking notes so that you learn from them. And especially in the content ones, I'm going to say you have to use this wording to get credit. That way AI doesn't do it for you. So take notes in these webinars. It's a good idea. Okay, so NOTES is how you spell notes. And that is the secret word for this week, for the And that is for the orientation webinar. Tomorrow's webinar will be a different secret word, by the way. And tomorrow at 6 will be the next one. And hopefully you can make it. If you can't, then you can watch it on YouTube, but it's always better to make it live. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to answer any questions that you have that maybe you didn't feel comfortable asking in public or something, but I'm going to stop the recording.